Common mistakes that people make when they're writing their research proposal. The first and the common one that we usually see is your topic being too broad. When you are writing your research or when you want to research something, always make sure that you narrow it down. So narrow it down to an organization, narrow it down to a certain subject, narrow it down to a certain town, city, etc. What I mean by that is that don't now go too broad. Don't want to find out the effects of social media on kids. That's such a broad topic. Why don't you find out the effects of social media on school-going kids in the region of Gauteng in a small town called Daveyton? I'm giving you an example. The second one is poor writing. So academic writing is different from your corporate writing, from journalistic writing. So you need to make sure that you learn how to write properly. Also, long sentences. Nobody wants to read a whole sentence which is now into a paragraph. And also be succinct and also synthesize the information that you've acquired. What do I mean by that? So the literature review that you've written, or rather the journal articles that you've read, you're going to combine them into this beautiful literature review. Now, the best thing that you can do for yourself is that you synthesize the information that you've read and make sure that you make the reader understand what you're trying to put across. So take them through the process. I always talk about the peel method, which is you point, you provide evidence, you explain, and then you link. So always link your paragraphs. You don't want to find someone reading a paragraph and then the next one is something totally different. There always has to be a link, and this is one of those things that gives you marks. The other one, which I find that is a problem, is that you're not referencing correctly. Make sure that you reference correctly. Make sure that you learn which referencing style you're required to use, whether it's APA, Harvard style, 7th edition, whichever one. And also make sure that that's in-text citation is the same as your references. I also wrote here that a weak literature review, which I've spoken about. The other one is justify why your research is important. This means that also choosing the methodology that you're going to use to conduct this research is super important. And the justification of your research is also important, because why should we read your document? Why is this topic important? So what body of knowledge is it contributing to? What gap is it identifying? And what gap is it seeking to then maybe fix? So those are the key mistakes that most people make when they're writing their research proposal. I will see you guys on Sunday. I think not Sunday. Perhaps we can have a session in between the week, because Sunday it's not going to be possible. But then keep at it. We're pushing.